Mark your calendars now for February 17th to the 19th, 2026. Because if you miss this, you'll be playing catch up all year. This is the future unbound. And the most important higher ed marketing and enrollment management conference of 2026. Insights EDU is taking over Fort Lauderdale, where Google, Meta, Reddit, MIQ Digital, and top institutions nationwide will pull back the curtain on what's next. Are you ready to adapt or be left behind? Insights EDU 2026 is where leaders become game changers. Register now at insightsedu.com. That's insightsedu.com. Early bird pricing ends December 15th, 2025.
Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. This is Dr. Joe Salustio back with you on another episode here at EdUp. And I'm just, I don't even know the words to describe how lucky I am to be able to interview amazing people in higher ed literally on a daily basis. And the person I'm with today, we're going to call this an EdUp catch-up, because she's been on once before, but in a completely different role than she was before, now in a much different role, which she's going to talk about. But, amidst all of the geopolitical, social changes going on around us, there's one thing that still remains true amongst all the disruption. We have a lot of people in college. We have a lot of people that want to come to college, and we have a responsibility to educate them no matter what's happening around us, right? I mean, so there is still a core mission, which we have to cut out the noise and still do. And I'm interested to hear from my guest, because there's a scope at which she's operating that not many people are operating at. Let me bring her in right now in the most proper way I can. Ladies and gentlemen. She's Dr. Rowena Tomaneng. She's Deputy Chancellor of the Cal Community College System. Rowena, welcome back.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joe. Happy to be back.
It's been a while. Last time we had you, you're president at, if my memory serves me, San Jose City College. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah, that was the last time, quite a bit ago.
That was like 3 years ago, I think, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah, so that was 3 years ago. So we're still technically coming out of the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
But that was much closer to, right after, just that initial crisis that happened, like in 2020 till 2022.
One of the things I remember certain things about certain guests that I learned, right? Because I talk to so many people, but I learned something from that person. And what I learned from you that came up so many times after was Anapesi. And I had kind of a handle on what it was, but then you started going in depth into Anapesi. And if you wouldn't mind giving the acronym again, but because it came up so many more times, and I was like, oh, I know that. And it was you that gave me that knowledge.
Yes. So let me just share just a little bit about Anapesi, just as a refresh. It's Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander Serving Institutions, Anapesi. Yep. And it is one of the fairly new still minority serving institution designations coming out of the Department of Education.
Yeah. And so I remember it because I was like, whoa, I had no idea. And then I started hearing it more often, and it's an important part of that speaks to the greater point of Cal Community College System, right? And serving everyone. So set the stage for us in terms of scope. I just interviewed Stephen Bloomberg at Kern Community College System. And great story he told there, but the scope of the system is massive. Give us an idea of how many colleges we're talking about and about how many students.
Yeah, so for California community colleges, we serve 116 colleges, including a fully online college that we call CalBright. And from the last research and the data that we looked at, right now we're serving about getting close to 2.2 million students, which means that we have more than recovered, from the decreases and the decline during the COVID pandemic. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations. That's incredible. And it's all because of hiring the deputy chancellor that is Rowena Tomaneng. I can tell you that for sure. But I mean, you stepped into this role not without a great responsibility on your shoulders, right? To you and Chancellor working together to, I mean, you think about the number of positions. It's 116 presidents, always trying to find the right leader to serve the students. I mean, there's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders to do that. It's an incredible scope of institution and of students.
Yes, yeah. So since I joined the chancellor's office in October, it's been go go go, but it's been very energizing and rejuvenating in the sense that I'm just so excited to be supporting the system, beyond just a local district. And from our conversation before, I think you know that I've been also involved at the national level, uh, playing an active role in leadership with the American Association of Community Colleges. I was serving as the president of one of the affiliated councils for a couple of years, the National Asian Pacific Islander Council there. And then I was also leading or a member of the Commission on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And in the last 2 years, I've been serving on the board of directors. I'm very excited that I am serving on the executive board for the 25-26 year to help shepherd in our new CEO, Dr. Darion Pollard. So I'm very excited about that. But coming back to California and working with Chancellor Christian, who is just a wonderful colleague to work with and partner with. She's been a visionary leader in terms of the work that she's been doing across the different colleges that she's led. Before she joined the chancellor's office, she had implemented many student equity, student success programs at Bakersfield College and the Kern Community College District. And I think for me, joining the chancellor's office, we're very complementary in that way, because as you know, my core work in the California Community College has been around those issues of decreasing the student equity gap amongst our students, and then also ensuring that transfer is happening. And then on the workforce side, especially the work that I did at San Jose City, making sure that there are many, many opportunities for our students to enter the workforce right away, if that's what they're interested in, through apprenticeships and then also short-term certificates.
Give me a idea, like you're you're at a district, you were there for a long time, and then you come to a system office with 116 colleges. That transition itself, as you said, you're seeing a scope. What maybe is one thing where you said, you know what, that's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I expected when I stepped into this new role as deputy chancellor. And what's one thing where you went, whoa, maybe that surprised me just a tad?
Yeah. So I think one thing that met my expectations, and I want to just say that several things actually met my expectations about joining at the system level. So I've always enjoyed creating and then sustaining different types of partnerships in the different leadership roles that I've had to enhance all of the programming happening at the college level. So one thing that I'm excited about is that I get to work with statewide cross-agency partners.
Mm-hmm.
And one example that I can give you is I am serving on the governor's council for addressing homelessness across California. And I have the privilege to represent the higher ed sector. So I'm representing not only the California community colleges, but I represent the California State University and also the University of California on that council.
That's amazing.
And we have about 22 agencies that are working together and trying to implement a strategic plan, to address really what is affordability and the basic needs of all Californians with our various sectors. So that's one example that I can give you of expectations being met. And then the other example that I want to give you is that as a CEO, I was on the leadership of the CEO board for a number of years. And so I did have a sense of all of the work happening at the system level. But one thing that really surprised me, Joe, is for being the largest system in the nation of higher education, we have a very, very lean staff.
Mm.
So our staffing at the chancellor's office is very, very lean. In fact, probably I want to say 60 to 70% less, than our other higher ed sectors for
Yikes.
the central office.
Yeah.
So that surprised me.
Yeah. So that means less hands to make the work, as it were. So you have to be very intentional, hire really well at that system office, right? And everybody's carrying a tremendous workload.
Yeah, tremendous workload, hiring really talented, skilled team members. And what I appreciate about many of the team members that I've been able to work with already is that they do have strong relationships with our colleges and in our districts in their respective areas. So, my deans, the VCs for academic affairs, workforce, and then also student affairs, even if I've had a little bit of leadership transition, team members are just very strong, very dedicated, and I believe really responsive to the needs of what's happening at our colleges. And then I want to also clarify for folks that while we do have the 116 colleges, we have 72 locally governed districts, which include multi-college districts and single college districts. So we at the chancellor's office actually don't do the hiring at the local level. And so the governing boards there locally who are elected, and chancellors do the hiring of their CEOs.
Epic.
Yeah, but you've got to have eyes on who all these people are, of course, right? And know
Yes.
that the students are being served along with the direction of the strategic plan, which has to be massive, right, and have huge goals within it because of the scope of the system. And we were talking beforehand. You've been doing some work on that plan. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It involves making sure that we're working closely with, the leadership and the different stakeholder groups across the system. So earlier I talked about Vision 2030, which is our Chancellor Christian and our Board of Governors really strategic direction that they launched in 2023. So we're about 2 years in. When I joined the Chancellor's office in October, Chancellor Christian was already talking about doing a refresh because we really look at this Vision 2030 as a living document it's not just a static, plan
Yes.
with strategic directions and activities and goals, but that we're going to be assessing it and then making adjustments where needed. So for the last, I would say 6 months, we've been working hard at updating the Vision 2030 and fleshing things out so that we could be more intentional with meeting the goals. So just last week, actually just a couple of days ago, because it's Friday. So on Tuesday, our Board of Governors adopted our new Vision 2030 refresh, which we call Vision 2030, the July 2025 edition. And then along with more details in the plan, and more description of what we're planning to do around climate action, for example, what we're planning to do around increasing transfer from community colleges to four-year institutions, and then also how we are trying to scale credit for prior learning, as well as apprenticeships for the system to increase that opportunity. Vision 2030 also has more detail now on what we're planning to do around AI, generative AI, and the future of learning. And we established a digital center, for example, with that last strategic direction. And now we are rolling out what we're calling AI fellows, which are representatives from the field, from the faculty ranks, from administrators, from classified professional ranks. And then we've also developed a bigger group that we're calling the AI champions. So it's all very exciting. And I probably need at least an hour just to do a presentation on the Vision 2030. But the other exciting thing about it is that we are providing more access to the public to take a look at what we're doing for Vision 2030. So we are in development of microsites for Vision 2030, which will be very interactive. And then folks, not only in California, but nationally and even internationally, can get a sense of the progress that we're making, even with our demonstration projects. And all of our demonstration projects are really meant to test, as you mentioned earlier, test out our innovative solutions to achieving the Vision 2030 goals. And we have 4 spheres of engagement that those demonstration projects are also working on. And the 4 spheres are: we're engaging people across the system, not only our colleges, but partners coming from different sectors, including state agencies and industry partners. And then the second sphere has to do with policy work, taking a look at policy and if we need to make recommendations or propose policies to remove barriers for student opportunity. The third is around looking at systems. How do we improve our systems? One main example that I can give you there is, systems and state systems always struggle with data, right? Even at the national level. So how do we improve, our data collection and all of that through improving how we gather data? So we're really looking at, the common cloud, for example. And then for the 4th sphere of engagement, really thinking about the resources that are needed to scale innovative practices that are leading to increasing access, increasing student support, and then increasing student success.
You said so much, by the way.
No,
so now
it's too much.
I got to break it down. No, it's good. Okay. It's good because I got to break it down because there's some things that I really, really care about, like in here when you're talking about credit for prior learning, which I think is just a huge start in a different way. So I was reading this book, Rewired. It's sitting over here. And this in the book, it's about artificial intelligence and companies who are doing really well with it. And there's a lot of lessons in there. And one of the biggest takeaways for me was the sentence that every leader needs to be a tech leader in the future. And I thought how relevant that statement really is for us, because there's no way to think about anything that we're doing without some technology tied to it. At the system level, as you think through some of these things, and they all kind of go together. You talked about data, any kind of apprenticeship or moving credit around, reporting at a state level takes a certain technology infrastructure. You've got 116 colleges, 72 districts. That's a lot of variance probably in who can handle what in what systems they have. How do you reconcile some of that and prepare for the future that is going to exist, sort of based in technology? A little bit of a biased question in a way, because I know some of the answer, but it is not an easy task to contend with either.
If you think you can coast into 2026, think again. Insights EDU is coming February 17th to the 19th, 2026, and it's taking over Fort Lauderdale for a beachfront experience. It's the event that will flip your marketing and enrollment strategy on its head. 3 days, over 65 expert speakers, and over 40 sessions. Zero fluff. Just powerhouse strategies from the most anticipated platforms like Google, Reddit, Meta, MIQ Digital, and the most forward-thinking schools in the nation. You'll get the real wins, the bold ideas, and the hands-on tactics to grow programs, drive engagement, and create the student experience today's modern learner demands. The question is, are you ready to lead, or will you get left behind? Mark your calendar, bring your team, and secure your spot at insightsedu.com. That's insightsedu.com. Early bird pricing ends December 15, 2025. See you in Fort Lauderdale.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's the heavy lift.
Yeah.
I think if we approach it and how we're approaching it at the Chancellor's office is all about building relationships and building strong engagement across the system, including all of the different stakeholder groups, that are leaders in our colleges, in our districts. So one example that I can give you is about, how we've been engaged with our statewide academic senate, for Vision 2030 goals and the strategic directions. And I have to thank them all the time because they are active partners with us in terms of engaging the faculty, in that work of professional development and learning, and not being to learn so that fears and anxieties around technology advancements and generative AI, are better understood and maybe de-escalated. And we've been talking, even just in this last week, we produced these T-shirts that have the human, like keep the human element, in terms of AI and thinking of the equity work that we're doing. So that's one example of engagement that I can give you, because you have to bring everybody in.
That's the hardest part, isn't it?
Collectively, because we're such a big system.
Yeah.
Secondly, we've also actively engaged, to your point with the quote that you just read, our CEOs. So we've also started doing professional development for my colleagues in the CEO ranks, and have held special professional growth institutes for them already, bringing in experts, bringing in industry partners, so they too can understand, what the promise is, both the promise, the benefits, and then also some of the challenges.
Yep.
In addition to kind of learning about how do you, implement some of these innovative practices within your own college or within your own district, because everything does have to trickle down to the local level, right? So it's both local engagement and then also system engagement. And even with our Board of Governors, Joe, we've incorporated AI educational series into our Board of Governors meetings, where we have industry leaders coming and doing a very short PD and engaging our Board of Governors in the questions and ideas that they have.
That's interesting too, because I think this is one of the few times where in our industry, I had this thought the other day, you know, when we have some kind of innovation in higher education, let's say competency-based learning, right? Let's just use that as an example. Most boards, unless they're people or trustees come from higher ed, they're going to look at something like competency-based, and the knowledge strength is with the president or the institution who knows all about competency-based education, and the board of governors goes, what's this? What is this thing? But AI is one of those things where it can be reversed, because you have board of trustees coming from different companies on different areas who are going, what's going on with AI in higher education? We're using it here for X, Y, and Z. And it's creating a different level of pressure, I think, or maybe there's a greater understanding of it in the business context, and then us having to figure out how to implement it in our context versus the other way around, where we're explaining things to a board of trustees on the nuances of higher ed. Is that a thing, or is everybody just up in the air trying to figure it out?
Well, I think what I'm seeing is that folks are engaged, for learning. And I think that that's already a big step.
Yeah.
Like when you just think about, you and other leaders in higher ed that were talking about the future of learning, or thinking about AI in the future 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Folks were not entertaining the conversation because 10 years ago, that's not really here yet, but it's here.
Yeah.
And then I think what also readied not just the system, but just higher ed in general is the pandemic. We learned a lot from the pandemic about how behind we were in technology. So when you have the majority of higher ed institutions having to pivot in 2 weeks to fully online modalities, right? And we had institutions that weren't even engaged in hybrid modality. So I think that accelerated the learning, and embracing certain technologies, because we're all still so focused and dedicated to serving our students. And from my perspective, we do need to engage and then adapt some of these innovative solutions that our partners are introducing us to, because we can actually serve more students, and we could serve students better. For example, using AI tools for, measuring the progress of our students in terms of their, degree progression, right? Or certificate progression. We have things in place. We're using something like the program Pathways Mapper for our guided pathways work, rolling it out across the system. But we do know about the capabilities to actually even help our counseling faculty and our academic advisors, because they want to maintain the work that they do, that human touch, supporting students. So AI can really help facilitate even freeing up some of their time so that they can engage with students more on a one-to-one basis or small.
100%.
Yeah.
Are you excited about Workforce Pell? The idea of Workforce Pell, is that getting everybody kind of tuned up in the system? Is that a big broad stroke access play? Is that the way it's being, because I think everybody's thinking about, what does this mean to us, and how are we going to, track it? But like, what are we going to offer? And, what's the conversation like internally as this becomes a thing?
I think internally, from a state perspective, and then also from a national perspective, there is excitement about Workforce Pell, certainly because it will increase opportunity. And there has been support for Workforce Pell, for many, many years. But then there also is a question, about Workforce Pell, in the sense that The units have increased, for students that will be eligible.
Yeah.
And I think that is a worry because we know that many of our students, especially across community colleges nationally, are working adults,
Yeah.
right? They're
Taking
working.
less credits, in and outs, the whole bit. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And that they have all of these additional needs and responsibilities that they have to take care of with their family. We've got working adults that are single parents, all of that. So I think that is also there. And of course, there is a question and there's an anxiety about the changes that are happening at the federal level with the
Yeah.
Department of Education, and, moving programs out to other departments. How is that going to work? Is that going to facilitate disbursement, in a manner and timeliness that our students need? So I think those are questions that folks are asking in the conversations.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think for anybody who's studying it has that question of not everything can't be true at once. You can't fund programs and reduce staffing at the department, right? Like, or you have to move the staffing somewhere else so that you can facilitate the exercise, whether it's disbursement or tracking or whatever. And if you have one function over here in this area and another in this area, and they're not talking, what does that mean for the funding? So I think that's the federal government's trying to figure this stuff out, of how they make all these things true at once. That's creating some static among the way we think about things, right? So this could be a great opportunity for some, but only if it's clean, right? Only if the processes are clean, so a student can understand it and they can get through. And that's a big question that I've asked before of leaders. How do we, Rowena, how do we understand everything that's happening at a federal level, state level, politically, and not let it disrupt what I talked about at the beginning, this core mission of, we still have students in school right now that need our attention. It's really easy to flick on the news and get lost in all of the what's happening and uncertainty and fear and anxiety and forget the student who's sitting right in front of me over here. At the system office, from what you hear at the districts, is everybody keeping focus? Is it hard sometimes to keep focus? What are you seeing from a staff perspective and faculty perspective?
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing from colleagues across the system, in the different constituencies, is that they do feel distracted,
Yeah.
and that the oncoming of news and the different policy changes, since the
It's
start of the
disruptive.
year.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's disruptive.
It is disruptive. And then they have anxiety. They're worried about their students. They're hearing from their students. Students are sharing their anxieties with them, and then certainly with us at the system level. But I think what we've been doing very well is communicating to the system that, we are advising and recommending everybody to just keep what you're doing well, stay the course, and we have not changed anything from a system perspective in terms of our internal funding allocations for our student equity and achievement program, our funding for workforce that had decreased before the new administration, just for because of the legislature, they were seeing that there were unspent funds.
Yep.
Yeah, so we haven't changed anything, and we've been engaging the field in where the respective concerns are. So, for example, we hold regular office hours at the system level so that we can work closely with our Dreamers liaisons for the Dreamer Centers for supporting our undocumented students, putting up more resources on the website. We've held webinars, like specific topical webinars to share information. We also have California, has experienced additional disasters with the fires down
Yeah.
in Southern California. And so we've been working closely to support that recovery for the LA region as well. So I think communication, making sure we're communicating to the field about what's going on, and providing analysis, where we can get the analysis internally within state,
Yep.
or externally through our partners, with AACC, ACCT at the federal level, ACE. And the other thing that I wanted to share too is, similar to our higher ed partners with the UC and the CSU, our Office of the General Counsel, is also in touch with our Attorney General's office. So they are meeting all the time, to discuss impacts on California, impacts on the higher ed sector, and seeking guidance from the AG.
Yeah, it's a lot, right? Like it's infrastructure. It's a lot for all of us to handle in terms of making sense of what's coming in and making sure that we can still serve students effectively, which is the core of what we do. I do want to just take just a quick second and shout out Dr. Darian Pollard
Yes.
for being chosen as the next CEO of AACC. I'm a huge fan of Darian. I interviewed her, I don't know how long ago. I don't know how many years ago when she was at Nevada State, if I'm not mistaken. So we have a connection there. So we're all connected in higher ed some way, Rowena. We're all like a spider web.
Yeah. And what I like about the spider web, Joe, is that it's a spider web of colleagues and practitioners who love what we do, and we love serving students, and we want to improve systems to increase equity and opportunity. So, I mean, where else can you get that?
Right. And we met for the first time at AACC, if I'm not mistaken, not too long ago.
Yes.
Where was that? Nashville? I feel like it was in Nashville.
Was it in Nashville?
I think it was Nashville. But it was great to see, like you said, colleagues trying to do this work and celebrate this work. It's important what we do. We need to tell the right story so that the public hears the right message. And that's been a challenge for as of late, to tell the right story. So I want to leave you, Rowena, with the rest of the time. Talk about anything else that's on your mind with the Cal Community College system, anything that you want us to know, or anything that's going on with you personally that you think we should know.
All right. Well, thank you so much,
like you've
Joe.
Got a big project coming up or something that we should follow. That kind of thing.
Well, the big project is the Vision 2030, in terms of implementing all of our demonstration projects. But I am excited because I feel like some of the work that we've been doing under Vision 2030, is already showing impact and progress. And one project that I'm really excited about is how we're growing our baccalaureate degree programs, the BDP programs. And so, since we started that work in partnership collaboration with the California State University, we're up to about 50 programs now across the state.
Wow.
And there are, I think, 16 more BDPs that are being considered right now. So I'm excited about that work in terms of providing that opportunity to students, especially for our students in the rural communities who face the university desert, so they don't have access to a CSU or a UC or even a private. And so, but we have 116 colleges, and we've got colleges present, in the Central Valley, Inland Empire, and the far north, that can support our students. I think the other thing that I wanted to highlight that I'm excited about, which we talked about earlier, is just the work I think that we're doing around AI and the future of learning.
Yeah.
from the professional development, from the industry partner engagement. And I feel like the conversations that were happening at the national level, even before the pandemic, that at that time, California was a little bit behind, in that those conversations and really exploring innovations. But now I feel like California, is a little bit ahead of the game, and
Yeah.
I'm just biased in that way.
You're allowed to be.
I can be, but I feel like, we're ahead in terms of what we've set up in terms of this digital center with the Foothill De Anza Community College District, as well as
Lee
other
Lambert over
Lee
there.
Lambert. Give shout out to Lee and his team.
He's in the middle of AI 24/7. That dude. He's all. I've seen his digital
Yes.
twin, and he's. I know all about Lee. Shout out to Lee.
Yes. Yeah. And then also just with what I shared earlier around building out the stakeholder engagement with our AI fellows, really tapping into all of the talented faculty we have. I mean, one of my faculty leaders from San Jose City College, I'll give a shout out to him, Sanjay Doradaj.
Come on, Sanjay.
Yeah, Sanjay, and then also Mark. Mark as well.
What's his last name?
Branham.
Which one? What's the last name?
Branham.
Off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Well, anyhow, I had amazing faculty at San Jose City College who are also faculty leaders in this work that we're doing system-wide.
That's amazing. Yeah. There's a lot going on. You got a lot going on.
Yeah, Rowena. A lot going on. And but again, as I said earlier, I'm very just excited about the work, both at the statewide level and then also at the national level, with our new CEO coming on board. Yeah.
Wow.
It's going to be exciting.
Hopefully, it'll be an exciting year. I'll see you at AACC if you're going again. I'll be there.
Yeah,
representing Lucian in my day job, and we'll connect. And this will be another great conversation with you, Rowena, and an update just to see you, where you were and now the scope of your job and the work that you're doing, and knowing who you are as a person and knowing you're on other boards like trying to solve homelessness in California. It just gives everybody that's listening to this, if they know you, confidence, which is a great thing. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Joe.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here she is, the one and only, the amazing Dr. Rowena Tomaneng. She's the Deputy Chancellor of the Cal Community College System, and you've just EdUp'd.
Attention, higher leaders. It's time to shake up your marketing and enrollment strategy. Join us at Insights EDU, February 17th to the 19th, 2026 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for a beachfront experience and the best higher education marketing and enrollment management conference. Early bird pricing ends December 15th, 2025. Register now at insightsedu.com. The future unbound is at Insights EDU 2026.